Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome to the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben, and
your co-host, Carissa.
Perfect. And there you go. Carissa, sorry about that. Yeah, and for everyone else, sorry about that too, because I was so busy getting stories that, time kind of got away from me. But you know what? That means that we have plenty to talk about. So, Carissa, it's been a few days. Everything going well for you?
Oh, everything's great. I got to hang out with my niece yesterday, which was really cool.
Very, very cool.
So that was a really good day.
Very cool. So yeah, that's definitely good. And I'm trying to think of everything happening here. There's some stuff happening behind the scenes, but yeah, it's been chaotic. It's been chaotic. And of course, with the recent news, I should probably mention that on the air. That regardless of political leanings, whenever someone does get coronavirus, as someone who did get it. It's I can't say that we're on the air. It's a pain in the butt. Coronavirus is really, really horrible. 1 million people worldwide have died of coronavirus. And of course, with the recent announcement that the president and the first lady both have contracted it, as well as other White House insiders, how do I put this? I wouldn't wish coronavirus on my worst enemy. So, yeah, I hope
that's big of you.
Yeah, and so with that being said, I hope that they do make a recovery from this because again, it's coronavirus has dominated the news cycle, and it was only a matter of time before it's been running rampant throughout this country that that something like this was going to happen. As many others have kind of opined, I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner with kind of the spread and just how infectious this is. So everyone stay safe. I know that there are even people within my inner circle who have said, oh, coronavirus, I've never even met anyone with it. I've never seen it. It's probably not as bad as people think it is, or it's not really real. It's not that big of a deal. And hey, you can at least take it from me. It is a big deal. It sucks. It sucks a lot. And yeah, so Chris, I don't know if you want to tack anything onto that, but yeah, that was my words. I have nothing
good to say.
All right, perfect. So as our mom has taught us, if you have nothing nice to say, let's go ahead and do news. So everyone, before we do that, computer and technology news for the full hour, but in the, but first, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, past shows, future shows, articles, reviews, podcasts, videos, the video archives, links to social media, all that and more. You can find that there at Computer America. So I think with that being said, I'm getting a text just making sure that's nothing that we're good. And sometimes I get text saying, hey, your microphone's messed up, but I think we're all good to go. So with that being said, Carissa, if nothing else, let's go ahead and do computer and technology news.
I'm ready. All
right, perfect. So everyone, computer technology news brought to you by Computer America. Okay, let's go ahead and start this off. We have a number of different stories. Why don't we do something a little uplifting because this is a you know what? This is even more uplifting, although I could say it could go down the drain, and what I mean by that is, well, this. And actually, let's do this real quick, just so I can send them over to our lovely co-host. But yeah, when I say go down the drain, I mean this one. This is, yeah, that worked. This is the story about, well, toilets. And don't get me wrong, I know that there are plenty of high-tech toilets that we could talk about, and I'm actually going to be getting one soon, and it's amazing. But I'm not going to be getting. Well, you know, and before we get to the story about NASA and their new toilet, the new toilet that I'm looking to get is, yeah, it has hoses and water, and it warms the water, and it self-sanitizes, and before you actually do the deed, it will actually like spray water to kind of make sure that everything, you know, kind of goes down the bowl instead of, you know, sticking around. You know, I'm not sure there's a foot massager and a butt massager, but I would not be surprised if there was. Technology in personal sanitation as well as just general comfort, certainly a thing. And I think there's even toilets that are connected to your smart devices and smart speakers. So, yeah, don't be surprised that, you know, the next toilet that you go out and buy could be fully connected. Now, hopefully not webcam, but let's go ahead and say that this one coming from the Associated Press, and NASA is set to test their new $23 million with an M dollar titanium space toilet.
Most excellent poop of your life.
Well, you know, yeah, and also one that can actually happen in zero gravity, because if you really think about it, a lot of how we use toilets and, you know, most things we have here on Earth kind of rely on the fundamental law that things will go down. You know, if they're somewhere, they go down. In space, you don't have that luxury. And I guess when it comes to the toilet, this is one of them. And you can see a picture of it here. It looks like, I don't know what that device was that Doc had in Back to the Future at the very end, where he's like, you know, throwing trash inside that metal canister, you know, to fuel his time traveling car. But yeah, it looks like that device from Back to the Future. It's definitely weird. So this is coming to us from Cape Canaveral, Florida, obviously. NASA's first new space potty in decades. That's right, we're finally getting an upgrade. A $23 million titanium toilet that's better suited for women. Because, you know, if you really think about it, back when in the 60s, when the space program really got a lot of its funding and still uses a lot of its equipment from that time, yeah, women weren't astronauts. And even on top of that, Chris, I don't know if you know this, but yeah, they were kind of hesitant to even send women to space because of, you know, their reproductive cycle, and they were like, well, what if this kills the woman? And yeah, you know, and I'm really so much about killing, more about, you know, would being in space for a prolonged period of time make them infertile, which is something that you clearly want to avoid. So, right. Yeah, it's a risky proposition, but now here we are, decades later. Women are on the regular. They are, that's probably not the best phrase when talking about toilets. They are, many astronauts are women. So yeah, now it's time to start upgrading the equipment to better suit them. Now, it's packed inside a cargo ship that should blast off late Thursday, but the launch was aborted within just 2 minutes remaining of the countdown. They said it would try again Friday if the engineers can figure out what went wrong with the with the proposed flight. Barely 100 pounds and just 28 inches, so only 100 pounds. That's pretty impressive, you know, for being completely titanium. Very, very light. So about 100 pounds, 28 inches tall, and the new toilet is roughly half as big as the two Russian-built ones in the space station. It's more camper-sized to fit into the NASA Orion capsule that will carry astronauts to the moon in a few years. So this is the, like, if there was ever a crown to be given for the most portable of porta potties ever, this might take the cake, because this one is portable enough to go to the moon. I don't think any other porta potties can claim that. So very impressive. They say that cleaning up a mess is a big deal. We don't want any misses or escapes because obviously everything floats in weightlessness. And what one does in the bathroom, you do not want that floating around in your multi-million-dollar spaceship. No.
You just need like a bug net or something. You can just kind of snag it, you know?
Yeah, just more toilet paper, clearly. But they say that, let's see, so they have funnels for, obviously, number one. They have been redesigned. Women can use the elongated and scooped out funnel. There you go, for obvious things. And until now, it's been one or the other for female astronauts. And they've, they've only had the one option, which is to use a toilet. So, like earlier space commodes, air suction rather than water or gravity removes the waste. They say that it can be, urine can be captured and routed into NASA's longstanding recycling system to reproduce water for drinking and cooking. That's right. If you're an astronaut, you have to very quickly become accustomed to the idea that, plenty of filters. It's completely safe. There's no taste or odor or anything like that. But all forms of fluids are trapped and recycled because, hey, water is heavy and water is expensive in space. So you got to make sure you keep every last drop of it. Titanium and all other tough alloys were chosen for the toilet to withstand the acidity of the matter. And you're good to go. So let's see if there's any quotes here we want to pull out. Trust me, I've gone to the bathroom in space because that's a vital thing to know how to do. And so also they will carry an 8,000-pound shipment aboard the capsule, air tanks to make up for a slight space leak, radish seeds for greenhouse growing, and cinematic 360-degree VR camera for you are there spacewalk shots. So we should be getting some 360 video and pictures for VR, which would be pretty darn cool. Let's see. Last thing we'll talk about this article, perhaps the most unique payload. Estee Lauder's newest Wrinkle Serum. The cosmetic company is paying $128,000 for an out-of-this-world photo shoot, part of NASA's push to open the final frontier to marketing, industry, and tourism. So $128,000 gets you, holding an Estee Lauder anti-wrinkle serum in space. So, if you ever have an extra $128,000 laying around. So the serum is fragrance-free, and the 10 bottles will remain sealed until they are returned to Earth early next year. So just for the photo shoot. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I mean, $23 million toilet. You don't get that often.
It's true. I'm also wondering about that serum, though. What are they doing with it? They're just holding it in space?
Yeah, it's just a photo shoot. I guess NASA agreed, and someone there has to be the NASA spokesperson to accept the responsibility of doing the photo shoot. Essentially, it's just advertising, but now it's NASA. So that's
space.
Yeah.
Okay.
when you're talking about the space program, $128,000 doesn't seem like a lot for a lot of what we spend, but you have to remember that the entirety of NASA's budget is $3 billion, which, don't get me wrong, $3 billion is a lot, but then you consider your military program, which is in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Right.
NASA makes up such a small part that I think even $100,000 can buy a lot of fractions of a toilet, I guess. Right. So there you go. Okay, so there was that first story. I thought we started off light, and now we feel relieved. We are going to go ahead and go on to the second story. And let's see, we have a number of them here that we could do. I wanted to talk about not that one. Okay, this one this one's even better. Nikola. Carissa, we talked about Nikola a little bit on the show. If you recall, they were the electric vehicle company.
Yes.
Okay. So they, and it looks like, I have to do it this way. this is coming to us from Financial Times, and they're asking me for a subscription. Maybe one day, Financial Times. Maybe one day. But Financial Times, and this is about Nikola, the car company. And if you recall, I think we even played it on our show, Carissa, where there was a video of their Nikola 1 truck rolling down the road, and turns out that was not entirely truthful. Like, the president of the company at the time said, "We technically never said that the vehicle was driving. It was just heavily implied, and you assumed it because you saw the car moving, or you saw the truck moving down the road." What was actually happening was the truck was completely turned off and it was rolling downhill, which is what happened. And so there were a number of YouTube channels that played this press video because, we're in the press too. We could send press images and press videos and essentially media kits that have for reuse, just everything about a product. And this is definitely one of those things. This was a marketing, kind of asset. So here's what they did. They went to YouTube channels who were critical of, Nikola, and they said, "Well, you used our 10-second clip. You used our 10-second clip of our truck rolling down the hill to criticize us." And so far they have not made any public statement saying that they did this out of retribution, but essentially they targeted specifically YouTube channels who were critical of Nikola for using their image. And they were using the YouTube copyright takedown and shutting down YouTube channels for using this video.
Interesting.
It's a little sad, but here we go. So one gentleman, Sam Alexander, who runs a YouTube account, who has posted several critical videos about Nikola, said he received a notification from the platform on Wednesday afternoon that one of his videos had been taken down because he used video footage of the Nikola 1 truck in motion. He added that 10 minutes later, another 3 of his videos were removed for the exact same footage. And for those who don't know, for every violation you have, when you have 3 different violations, your entire YouTube channel gets deleted. You have to do a long, hard fight with YouTube because it's so automated and they have so many requests and whatnot that you have to fight really hard, and it puts the content creator at such a disadvantage because they lose their only source of income in a lot of ways that they essentially just get shut down for something like this. It's I was wondering, when that happens, does, like, if the whole account gets taken down, does everything get removed from the internet? Do they have to have backups of that, or is that stored on YouTube somewhere for reactivation? If they only store their videos on YouTube, then they would be gone forever. YouTube, in a lot of cases, does not actually reinstate channels. They've done it very rarely, and it's taken a lot of kind of public backlash to do that. But yeah, if you only have your videos on YouTube and YouTube decides not to reinstate your account, everything's gone. Everything is gone, and you have no chance of getting that back. So Thanks. Make backups, everyone. There are services out there that can do that for you, but make backups. So with that being said, YouTube disputed Nikola's characterization of the process, saying that Nikola has accessed our copyright match tool, which does not automatically remove any videos. Users must fill out a copyright removal request form, and when doing so, we remind them to consider exceptions to copyright law. Anyone who believes their reuse of a video or segment is protected by fair use can file a counter notice, which we've had to do here on the show for a company that doesn't even make videos, but we got hit with one, and you have to submit it, and it's not fun. It's definitely putting the hassle on the YouTuber. So by the way, that comment came from YouTube after Nikola made this comment. Nikola, the company, said YouTube identifies copyright violations of Nikola content and shares the list of videos with us. Based on YouTube's information, our initial action was to submit takedown requests to remove the content that was used without our permission. Going forward, we will evaluate these flagged videos on a case-by-case basis. So what happened there was that YouTube flagged it, and then Nikola got this big list of videos that obviously, people were using this footage that they released to the press for reuse, and they went through and, maybe they targeted certain negative YouTube channels. I mean, we have played that footage on the air before, and we have not been hit with this, but yeah, they took them down. So essentially Nicholas saying, oh, it's so automated, we'll be more careful and we'll do our due diligence. And YouTube said, well, it's not that automated, and they definitely intended to submit copyright strikes. So there you go. Let's see. So with that being said, so on Wednesday, it canceled its flagship product showcase day, but reaffirmed key production timelines in an attempt to reset expectations around the business, saying, and they have another one from Mr. Tom Nash saying that he did the exact same thing, and yeah, there you go. So Nikola, they even, canceled one of their big press events, and, just unfortunately, I don't know, it's just not going well for them. And that statement saying that they want to, how do you put it? They want to reset the expectations around the industry. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like they're done hyping up their product, and it's time to get back to the fact that, oh, we don't actually have a working product, and we need to address that.
Yeah, it's probably time for that, and that's probably the reason why stuff's not working out for them.
Yeah, it's hey, maybe. if getting to a working, functioning car is, let's say, step 20, and you're on step 2, but the media thinks you're on step 10, yeah, it's time to reset and not just keep egging people on saying, oh yeah, we're actually really close to step 11. If we just get more money, and then in the back end go, oh man, we need to panic because we got to jump like 8 steps just to get to where everyone thinks we are. Nope, time to reset. And there you go. So with that being said, okay. Let's go ahead and talk. And by the way, I'm just looking through stories that Carissa sent over. Why don't we? None of those at the moment. Okay, back to the ones that I have. I wanted to talk about this one. So this is probably the biggest news that came out yesterday. Yeah, yesterday, I believe. The EU. They want to limit which apps Apple and Google pre-install on your phone. Carissa, when was the last time you got a new phone?
Earlier this year, actually.
What do you recall off the top of your head? What actually came pre-installed on your phone?
It was things like, YouTube, all of the T-Mobile apps, things like that. Yeah. Facebook app, there's some of the Google stuff. There wasn't a ton on it, honestly, but it's also not like it's not one of the more popular phones. So I'm wondering if maybe that's why.
Well, there
was a good handful of stuff for sure.
And it's pretty funny that this article not this article, but the EU decided to draw on Apple and Google in particular because, obviously one makes iOS and the other one, maintains Android, or at least, kind of the base version of Android, and then all the other phones use Android to their own devices. But funny that they did, because Samsung is actually one of the biggest perpetrators of this, where they even have a Facebook app on Samsung phones, as I understand it, that is completely non-removable.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and so it's little things like that the EU wants to look into and say, is this anti-competitive? Is this something that, a consumer buys these devices, they don't agree to this, but it comes pre-installed, they have no choice, they're locked into it, and yeah, there's nothing they can do. I had to do this with my iPhone, kind of a couple months ago since I bought it. Any apps that I didn't want to, and luckily Apple has been pretty good about letting you delete some of the native apps, but I create a folder within a folder within a folder and essentially shove everything that I don't want into that really deep folder, so I never have to look at it. So that's my solution, but it looks like the EU may have a little bit more of a comprehensive one. So let's get into this.
That's good, because it's like, if you don't uninstall them, it's still taking up space on your phone and your memory and all that.
Well, yeah,
background tasks.
Like, there's not uninstalling it, and then there's you do not have permission to uninstall it from your own device, and that is very very not good. So, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and other US tech giants could be banned from favoring their services or forcing users to sign up to a bundle of services under draft EU rules aimed at reining in their power. We have mentioned many a time that the EU is doing something that here in the US, it just seems so unimaginable. And that is the courts, like from like a legal basis and copyright and consumer protection rights and things like that, the courts are actually taking on tech giants as opposed to just letting them either lobby and write the rules themselves or not regulating them whatsoever. So it almost feels like any kind of regulation is so out of left field and almost overbearing compared to the US, which again just doesn't regulate at all. So Carissa, I don't know. No, you were not on the show when the Europe passed the Consumer Protection Act, and well, no, that was it was not EULA. It was Europe passed something that made it so that companies had to either be more careful with your data or not collect your data or get permission to collect your data. And it's GDPR, General Data Protection Rights or Act or something like that.
Okay.
And what happened shortly thereafter, Carissa, that was when every single website, company, service, app, everything that you use had to throw up those banners and say, do you consent to cookies?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then there were also, every service that you ever, interacted with, they also sent you an email saying, this is how we handle your data. And that was the power of the European courts. Again, the reason this is important for everyone, especially here in the US, is that even though Europe was the one to pass those ordinances and those laws and regulations, that had a very tangible and immediate effect to US consumers. So even though we're talking about the EU, this definitely affects everyone. I'm not sure if you know this, Carissa, but if let's say Apple decides that they don't want to follow the rules in Europe, I'm sorry, if Apple doesn't want to follow the rules in, let's say, Germany, one of the EU nations, they are not allowed to sell their products or services anywhere in the European Union. Oh. And that gives them almost like a collective bargaining type power where they are the number one largest economy, like all put together. Like the US is number one, China number two, and kind of individual countries in Europe or whatever. But the EU as a singular entity is the largest economy out there. So they need to be in that economy to compete and to thrive, because a company of the size of Amazon, Facebook, Google, or Apple cannot live without the EU money, so they have to follow the rules. And even beyond that, and what I just realized or just recalled, it's not even so much that, let's say one of the EU member states, they don't follow the rules there. Carissa, if Apple violates EU law in, let's say in America, they do the stuff that is banned in Europe, they'll look at that and go, you're not following the rules in America, so you're cut off from the EU. They have to change the rules everywhere that they do business to remain in the EU. So that's why...
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's why it has an effect on us here in the US. They have to follow the rules. So, with that being said, the European Commission is taking a tough line against U.S. tech giants, driven in part by antitrust cases, resulting in decisions that have failed to boost competition because of the lengthy process that typically takes several years. The case has taken on urgency because of the dependence of thousands of EU companies on the tech giants for their businesses. Gatekeepers, such as the companies with bottleneck power or strategic market status, will not be allowed to use data collection on their platforms to target users unless that data is shared with its rivals. So you could think how, let's say, a competitor in the social media market, obviously no social media competitor is going to be as powerful as Facebook because they have all the data, they have all the analytics, let alone all the money and whatsoever. But in Europe, I guess that they would allow, or they would force Facebook to share user data with their direct competitors so that they can compete on a somewhat fair level. It's not fighting this Goliath. It's at least somewhat more fair. They say that, they won't require from any third-party operating systems or developers or hardware manufacturers to pre-install exclusively Gatekeeper's own applications. Another clause would ban gatekeepers from blocking rivals offering their products to customers outside of the Gatekeeper's platform services, a move which would affect Apple and Google with their restrictive App Store rules in payment. I guess what that means there, so let's see, ban gatekeepers, which gatekeepers is just, code for these companies, from blocking rivals offering their products to customers outside of the platform or services. So that whole fight with Epic and its game services and, allowing you to download the app outside of Apple ecosystem or pay for things outside of the Apple ecosystem, that would be allowed under the EU's rules. So the rules would also subject gatekeepers to annual audits of their advertising metrics and reporting practices. So, yeah, the EU looking to take another swipe at the tech industry, and yeah, it's probably well needed because the tech companies are so massive, and again, it's just so unusual to see any kind of regulation come at the tech giants, especially, living in America, where they, again, pretty much get to write the rules. So
right, and it's even more important too, because for example, Facebook also owns WhatsApp, Instagram, all of these other ones too, and some of them, that just even expands it even more. So you really need to get a handle on that stuff.
Let's see, and that's that actually got me interested. So let's see. So Facebook owns, and this is the Facebook products owns, let's see. So obviously Facebook, the mobile app and the in-app browser, Messenger, Instagram, Portal, which are the hardware devices, Bonfire, never heard of it, Facebook Mentions, Facebook Shops, Spark, AR Studio, Audience Network, which would be their data analytics, NPE Teams apps, which have many, many features throughout many other apps. And yeah, they even have, of course, more with WhatsApp that isn't listed even here. So they have a lot of different apps, and you're probably using a Facebook app, even though you didn't even realize it. So,
right.
Okay. Let's talk about this one real quick, where South Korea, and this should be a pretty quick story. Carissa, what's better than 5G?
6G.
Very good. This next story is South Korea plans to launch 6G trials in 2026. See, it sounds silly even saying 6G, Carissa. I know.
It sounds ridiculous.
Here we are. The next generation is already being developed, which
we
is always the case.
We don't even have 5 yet.
I know, but hey, that's how wireless technology works. You got to have the standards in place for the next generation before the current generation is even here. So here we are. The country is expected to spend approximately $170 million over the course of 5 years to develop this technology, saying that the government of South Korea has confirmed plans to carry out a 6G trial in 2026. So a trial, not a full-blown rollout, but wouldn't be too far behind. Now, and that's according to a report by Business Korea, the South Korean government is anticipating the service to be commercially available as soon as 2028 or 2030, saying that the country is expected to spend approximately $170 million over the course of 5 years to develop this technology, and the Prime Minister finalized the government strategy to promote R&D for future mobile communications of science and technology-related ministers. Now, here's the thing. I think current 5G standards reaches 10 gigabits per second. I think 10 is kind of like the aim, if I'm not mistaken. Chris, I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
I don't.
If
5G.
That's what they're kind of claiming. 20 gigs per second. My bad. 5G is significantly faster than 4G, delivering up to 20 gigabits per second, with peak data rates and 100 plus megabits per second average data rate. So if you're really close to your tower, within a line of sight, perfect conditions, and everything is going well, 20 gigabits per second, not unheard of. If some things are interfering, it's not ideal conditions, you could get about, well, they're saying on average, you get about 100 megabits per second, which is much, much better than 4G. Right. Saying it has more capacity, and it's designed to support about 100 times as many devices as 4G. So there you go. 5G, you're looking at 10 gigabits per second, 20 gigabits per second. I'm getting conflicting answers here. But I think 20 gig was like 5G dual band, and many antennas out there are dual band. So I'm going to go with 10 gigabits per second. Now, this one is 1 terabits per second, which you're looking at, what is that? They say roughly 5 times faster than 5G and latency reduction of 1/10 of the current 5G services. So latency, that's amazing. 1/10 the latency. This article might have it wrong, though. BroadcastPro. Yeah. So they might have it wrong. They're saying that 1 terabits per second, 5 times faster than 5G. 5G currently operates at 10 gigs. If it's a dual band, it operates at 20 gigs. Even at 5 times, you're still looking at 100 gigs. So I'm not sure how they get, in some cases, which should be 100 times increase, not a 5 times increase. I'm betting they got it wrong, and either through mistranslation or just not understanding what we're currently at. I'm betting 100 gigabits per second is what 6G is probably aiming for, not the 1 terabit per second. So
yeah, that seems like a lot.
Yeah, 1 terabit per second is something that fiber optic, like dedicated Google lines and Google Fiber and other fiber connections, 1 terabit per second. No. 1 gig. Yeah, 1 gig per second, which would be like 1,000 megabytes per second, is something that fiber is still working on. And in some places, they're even offering 2 gig internet connections. So for wireless technology to be at 1 terabit per second, I think it's a mistranslation, and 6G should be aiming for about 100 gigabits per second. But still, very, very impressive. And South Korea has always been very ahead of the curve when it comes to internet connectivity, especially among everyone in the country. And internet speeds, South Korea, it continuously ranks first in the world for the best internet. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's interesting.
Yeah. Real quick, South Korea, let's see, internet speed. And of course they need that because they play so much StarCraft that, you just gotta. Yeah. So as of 2017, South Korea has the fastest average internet in the world at about 28 megabits per second. And South Korea's speed is about 4 times faster than the world average of 7 megabits per second, which, God. 28 doesn't sound like a lot. And of course it's gone up, a lot more since then. A lot more. Q1 2017 looks like you're at 28, and cell data on 2019 you're looking at 52 megabits per second. Essentially, they're always the first, and yeah, looks like they want to be the first to 6G as well. Again, a little bit misreporting. I think that's going to be about 100 gigabits per second, but I think a lot of people out there would be happy with even a fraction of that. I know that I would. So, okay. That was story number 4. Story number 5. Carissa, I'll let you pick the next one.
Let's see what we've got here. Let's do...
I should have the Jeopardy waiting music on tap. I don't have that though.
Let's do the Mario Bros story.
Mario Bros. Story. So, and is this about the Mario Brothers 35 anniversary?
Yes.
Did you send? No, I sent that. Let's see. I think I closed that because I was like, no, let's not do that. But now I want to. So let's see.
That of the Honda.
I'm sorry.
That of the Honda story.
No. Here it is. Engadget. Okay, I got it. We're good. I've got it. For those of you who don't know, I think this is free to play too. So anyone out there looking for something to do this weekend that doesn't cost a lot of money, this would be it. So Super Mario. Carissa, you said, if I recall way back when, you had a Super Nintendo growing up. That was that was your console of choice, and well, your console of had. And did you have Super Mario World with all the different Super Marios?
I don't think we had that one. I think we just had Super Mario and Dr. Mario.
Right. Did not play Dr. Mario, but hey, Super Mario, you should be right at home about this. What if I told you? And first of all, I should ask this, Carissa, do you know what a battle royale type game is?
That's whenever it's like a everybody
like
versus everybody, right?
And Call of Duty and things like that. Essentially, everyone, traditionally, they're mostly first-person shooters, and everyone drops into a predetermined area. You run around, pick up loot, you collect gear. Obviously, you deal with each other in whatever way you can. Probably by shooting them. And at the end of it, the area in which you're allowed to stay in becomes less and less and less. And eventually there's only one team, one person standing. That is a battle royale where, you have 20, 30, 40 teams, and eventually you have one team left.
Last man standing.
Exactly. So what if I told you, Carissa, they managed to do that with Super Mario?
I don't know how I feel about that.
It seems like a weird concept, but I actually saw a lot of gameplay yesterday. I was watching someone play it, and because I didn't have an Australian console, this should be available to everyone now, but yesterday it wasn't. You can play Super Mario, and it's a battle royale. You could pair it up with, I think it's 80 other people or like 50 other people. And actually, I want to say it's like 50 other people. So 50 other people, everyone plays the classic Super Mario levels. 1-1 with the boxes, the mushroom, the coins, the pipes, all that good stuff. It's your classic scenario, and you're good to go. And you can actually, I guess, kind of target other people on the screen. This is the part where it makes it a battle royale. And you can target other people's worlds, and as you dispose of the Goombas, as you dispose of the turtles, as you dispose of even Bowser and other creatures within Super Mario, they get sent to your opponent's course. So someone could be running the classic 1-1 course, World 1, Stage 1 course, and if someone else just defeated Bowser and decided to send it to your board, a Bowser would randomly show up on your world. And of course, it kind of it's kind of slow and steady because, an extra Goomba here or an extra turtle there doesn't really matter. But towards the end of the Battle Royale, when traditionally things get hectic, everyone has the best gear, it's really a heated moment. Well, the same thing happens with Super Mario and their Battle Royale, where, you're just getting flooded with all the different creatures, all the different scenarios, and you have to somehow deal with it. And you're killing everything, they're killing everything, and it's just getting sent back and forth until there's only one Mario left. So
interesting. But it looks like they're all in their own individual windows too. So it's not like a massive, not everybody's in the same window.
There is no overlap. And again, you get to choose other people's boards, but you don't actually see anyone on your board. It's really just you versus the level. And it turned out pretty interesting. So with that being said, let's get into the article a bit and see what they have here. I think we'll play the video, make sure this is, we're muted, we're good to go. So this is Super Mario 35th anniversary, and you can kind of see it there. But they're saying that until now, player superiority has been decided with speed running and multiple courses recreated through Super Mario Maker. If neither appeals to you, there's a new way to test this, which is now Super Mario Bros. 35. There you go. And as the name implies, it's the classic NES Famicom platformer in 1985. And yeah, but with 35.
Oh my gosh.
And by the way, I was mistaken. It's 35 people playing simultaneously. I know that you're thinking that sounds horrendous, and well, it's okay. Thankfully, Super Mario Bros. 35 doesn't put everyone in the world in the same world. You're playing together, but you have your own board. Let's see. So your first match will start you with 1-1, the very first classic level of Super Mario Brothers, and yeah. So I kind of explained how this all goes, but let's just go ahead and say that. Let's see. So the level is still portrayed in the original square aspect ratio. You, again, get to kind of target everyone with the D-pad. And thanks to these strategic options, you can, kind of, as you collect coins, you can spend them for power-ups, such as flower and star and mushroom and whatever. So there is that element of, like, gear, but it's just Mario, kind of items. And yeah, it's just who's the best Mario gamer, because it's the same old game, but at the same time, it's very, very different. So there you go. I think we're going to go ahead and end that there. Wait, actually, let's talk about availability and price. So let's see. So the author here had some fun, but he thought it would keep his attention longer, but at the same time, it's going to be up to everyone. I think this would keep my attention for quite some time. So it's the 35th anniversary, and let's see, Super Mario Bros. 35. I need to find out how much this thing is. Let's see. So here it is. It's available. Let's see. So the game will only be playable until March 31st, 2021. So it requires a Nintendo Switch Online membership, and you have to play it obviously on the Switch. And yeah, so it's kind of like a limited time, but it is free. So if you have a Switch and you have a Nintendo account online, you can play it for free right now.
And it's a good, like, small replacement for, like, Among Us or other, multiplayer games that you can play with your friends and stuff.
There you go.
I'm sure.
Have you been playing? Have you been playing Among Us?
Slightly. I keep, my friends keep trying to wrangle me into it. I just haven't been feeling it lately, but I've been watching a lot of it because Aaron plays.
Yeah, it's
fun.
for everyone out there who's not familiar with Among Us, that is for some reason, like, that's one of those games that, like, streamers kind of picked up, and it's been getting amazing views on Twitch and whatnot. And it's a social deduction game where there's two imposters, there's two fakes who are running around, and you have to kind of kill people. And there are 6 other crew members who have to go around performing tasks. And essentially, you have to determine through voice communication who is the imposter and who is not. And it's all about, like, the actual gameplay is pretty slow, but trying to figure out which one of your friends is lying and is actively trying to kill people off, that's the fun in it, or at least that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. And you can actually kind of scale how many imposters you have, and your movement speed and all kinds of other stuff too. So you can kind of make it a little different as well, which is fun.
I thought it was locked to just 2, but
no.
Yeah, there you go. And of course, it's very, very easy to, if you have someone who's a very good liar, to accidentally eject or, kind of vote off someone who is not the killer. So it's, it's much like Town of Salem. I don't know if you've heard about that one, Carissa.
I've never heard of that one.
There's Town of Salem, and then there was another one. And even Among Us was a game. This is actually, what surprised so many people. Do you know when Among Us was released on Steam?
I don't. I think it was recently, though, because wasn't it like a mobile game at first?
Nope. It was released on Steam in 2017, like March 2017.
Oh.
Yeah, and it just recently got more attention. Like, they even said, like, 3 or 4 months ago that they were going to discontinue everything and shut down the servers because there weren't that much, there wasn't that much activity, and they were going to develop Among Us 2. And instead, they're like, oh, we're canceling Among Us 2. We're going to start adding microtransactions into Among Us. And yeah, we're going to start creating more content for Among Us. So
that works as well.
It's really one of those games that, again, was just going to kind of fade away into oblivion. And no, turned around and it got saved. So pretty interesting. Now, okay, so there's that story. I'm glad that you brought that up. You know, I was going to skip it, but hey, if you have a Nintendo Switch, if you're one of the lucky few that have one, you can play that for free right now. Okay, so let's see. There's that story, and there we go. Okay, so this next one, we talked a bit about this, and we talked about data sets and artificial intelligence. And Carissa, I'm sure that you recall that, you know, when they're building data sets, making sure that you have a very diverse set of images to train an AI off of is very important, because if you, let's say, have a database full of white males, then you know, when, let's say, an Asian female comes along, there's going to be a whole bunch of confusion in that AI, because it's expecting a white male, and instead you throw it a curveball by, you know, putting another person into it. Yeah. That seems to be what Twitter ran into recently. So here's an article. Twitter is working on a fix for its automated image cropping. A little bit of accidental kind of not racism, but, you know, it doesn't work as well on black people, I guess, is the point of this whole thing. So Twitter will change its automated image cropping feature after users complained that it was biased. And the company says it's working to decrease our reliance on automatic cropping so users can ultimately control how their images appear in the tweet. And really, they're talking, well, yeah, and this is the way it probably should have been from the beginning, but Twitter tried to introduce something that was, you know, kind of easier to use, and it just didn't work very well. They say that, quote, "We hope that giving people more choice for image cropping and previewing what they'll look like in the tweet may help reduce risk of harm. Going forward, we are committed to following the what you see is what you get principles of design, meaning quite simply, the photo you see in the Twitter composer is what it will look like in the tweet," which is fair.
That's how it should be.
Yeah, definitely. So it's not clear when these changes might be implemented. And they said that Twitter first introduced the feature back in 2018, and saying it was meant to highlight salient areas of an image by using neural networks to predict where someone is likely to look. So they tried to, I guess, find the interesting part of an image and make that kind of like the reduced thumbnail. More recently, though, a number of users have called it out after a viral tweet pointed out that the cropping consistently picked out lighter-skinned people regardless of framing of the original image. The other users soon followed up with their own versions of the experiment, including cartoon characters and even black and white, well, dogs. So, yeah, and they even have some examples here. This is probably risky, you know, kind of doing it, but yeah, you can see a bunch of examples of what that looks like. Yeah, you know, just people are cropped differently based on the color of their skin. And again, I do not think in any universe did Twitter kind of mean to do this on purpose. It's just how the AI was implemented. In a blog post, I
wonder if it's something to do with, you know, a black dog, for example. I wonder if maybe the computer has trouble seeing it because it's such a dark image and it's hard to just like determine the shapes within that. I think in the dog's example, anyway.
Yeah. You know, for dogs, like clearly when they say that it's looking for ways that images are, I guess, kind of more interesting. Obviously, color, light, you know, like dark pixels maybe denote things that aren't, you know, like a black background or, you know, kind of negative space. It's something, you know, just kind of darker pixels may denote that, hey, this space is not being used, whereas the lighter pixels would indicate, hey, this is where, you know, someone put those light pixels there. People might want to look there. Of course, then you add in people's skin tones and you're like, oh, that's actually a very bad way to do this. Right. But that is artificial, like, ladies and gentlemen, that is artificial intelligence in a nutshell. It will do exactly what you tell it to, regardless of intent. That's a computer. That is why your toaster is as smart as the most advanced artificial intelligence that we have today. It's just trained in a particular way. Robots are not going to rise up and kill us over some kind of sense of morality. They're still just machines at the end of the day. Now, Twitter said that it had conducted its own test and that our analysis to date haven't shown racial or gender bias, though we recognize that we may automatically crop photos means that there is a potential for harm. The company also says it plans to do additional testing and is exploring ways to open source our analysis so that others can help keep us accountable. I think open sourcing this whole thing is probably the best way that they could have done it. It's I'm just realizing what these Twitter examples are. Again, if you're watching the video portion, real quick, let me share this with Carissa so she can see it in real time. There you go. Hey, Carissa. Okay.
Hi.
So you can see it here. So like Lenny and Carl, so this is characters from The Simpsons, and these are kind of like the automatic cropping. When you click on them, you see, it actually cropped the image so that it did not just crop the top of the image, it actually went down to kind of Carl, the other cartoon character, and then the dog weird. Here, there's a black lab and obviously a yellow lab here. And
you would think you'd crop the thing at the top, though.
Yeah,
or instead of the bottom, rather. Like you'd have.
Like really, the two images are just as quote unquote one would think interesting as one another. Like same amount of pixels, same amount of kind of detail everywhere,
angle.
Yeah, but no, it's just kind of overrode one instead of the other. So, it's I think everyone's taking their chance to share their dogs now. But yeah, there you go. Twitter is going to work on that. And
good.
Again, I don't think Twitter should be, kind of lambasted for making a racist, kind of AI. Trust me, there have been plenty other racist Twitter AIs. But this is just one of those cases of like probably not trained with the correct parameters. So there you go.
Right.
There's a lot of other examples. So we have time for like one more. I wanted to get this one in, Carissa, if you don't mind, about Nvidia. Sure. And so before we start, Carissa, do you know what's up with Nvidia and their new RTX 3070 cards? Like, do you know what the big hubbub has been over the past couple of weeks?
I don't.
Okay, so RTX 3070, which is their new graphics card. We talked about that at some length here on the show. They were available for pre-order, and they were sold out like within -1 second. Almost, I don't know anyone who was able to actually secure one and buy one, and then like a week or like 5 days after they actually, about 5 days after they actually announced it and they were sold out, then they put in the CAPTCHA and made it so that, automated systems couldn't go in and reserve and buy the graphics cards before everyone else. So it's almost like when like a big concert goes up and there's only so many tickets and all of them are purchased by scalpers using automated bots and things like that. The actual people who want to go see the show are completely locked out and at the mercy of the scalpers. Mm-hmm. Whereas, I think even whoever would be putting on that show would prefer real people go and not just scalpers or robots. Nvidia, I guess, is having the exact same feeling. They would rather have everyday people have these instead of just robots. So, with that being said, the RTX 3070 is being delayed until October 29th, even though it was supposed to launch, I want to say that was supposed to be available like October 13th or something like that. Now, Nvidia has announced that they're delaying the GeForce RTX 3070 graphics cards by 2 weeks, so yeah, it was about 13th or 14th, something like that. And they say that to allow it to build more stock ahead of the launch, we know that may be disappointing to those eager to purchase GeForce RTX 3070 as soon as possible. However, the shift will help our global partners to get more cards in the hands of gamers on launch day. So, and that has to do with, the 3080 was sold out immediately, and the card soon appeared on eBay for highly inflated prices. In most cases, the 3080 sold for retail at about $700 to $800, and the only ones that you could actually get were on eBay for between $1,300 and $1,400. So if you were looking for these things, they were double the price. Definitely not consumer friendly. So as a result, the company was forced to apologize, saying it was not prepared for the demand, which is always a little surprising. I've never heard of an Nvidia card in the last decade that hasn't sold out almost immediately. The company even pre-apologized for the lack of GeForce 3090 GPUs before they went on sale, but the card also sold out despite the exorbitant prices, which again, that one is a $1,500 graphics card. And yeah, still sold out. It's going to be
worth it.
Still sold out instantaneously. Oh yeah, it's going to be a gorgeous card. So with that being said, with all that in mind, it makes sense for Nvidia to wait to stock up on the $500 3070 cards, as demand for the GPU is likely to be sky high, and the cards will go on sale October 29th instead of the 15th. So there you go. Yeah. Good luck getting one of the new cards. I myself have resigned myself to getting one in the spring at the soonest. That's kind of what I'm counting on. So
yeah, you'll have to let them get remanufactured and stuff.
Yeah,
next round.
Gotta wait for them to restock. So everyone, that's it for us today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Carissa, thank you so much for making it here, despite the technical difficulties. And everyone, thank you for tuning in to Computer America. Find out more, computeramerica.com. We'll catch you here next time, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Have a great one. Have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.
See ya.